Good afternoon, everybody. We are so happy to see everybody here with us today. Thank you for joining us for the Multi-State Municipal EV Readiness Toolkit program. Whether you're joining us live or you're watching the recording, we are so glad that you're here with us today. I'm Daphne Dixon. I'm Executive Director of Live Green Network and Connecticut Southwestern Area Clean Cities Coalition. And I'm joined by our amazing team today, Kelsey McCormick, Alyssa Murphy, and Aiden Bennett. Thank you, ladies, so much for all that you do to make these sessions go so smoothly. Thank you so much. We'd also like to thank our program partners, South Central Regional Council of Governments. Thank you so much. And Connecticut Sierra Club. Thank you so much for being one of our partners. So we invited everyone here today because we really care about municipal EV readiness, and we have this very special 9-month program that we want to tell you about. We want to invite you into, and we know that you also care about EV readiness, or you wouldn't be here today. So we all have this in common. We all have this. We're all very eager to have EV ready municipalities. So this program is designed for community leaders and municipal decision makers who are eager to work together to complete EV projects and just would like some additional tools, resources, and support. Who doesn't want tools, resources, and support? So we've created this program for that very reason. And so we'd really like to invite you to come on video. This is a very interactive group, and we want everyone to feel really engaged and seen. So if you can come on video, we would really love that. And so we're all living in such busy times with so many distractions. So we hope for this next hour that you can put everything else to one side and really be with us here in this this learning community. So we are delighted to kick off our session today with somebody who's very special, who's just an amazing leader and all-around great person, and that's Carl Amento, and he's Executive Director at South Central Regional Council of Governments. And he's been with us from the beginning, starting with our 12-week toolkit, and he's just been such a champion of electrification. And so we're gonna just turn it over to Carl for a few minutes, and he's gonna inspire us.
Oh, that's a tough call on to follow up on. But I've always joined anything that Daphne leads, and she has assembled an amazing team, and as always has produced a tremendous program in the fall. And a lot of our SCROG towns have been involved in it very heavily. I have put together a wonderful team too. We've got Pam Roach, who is a force of nature for all of this kind of stuff. And we also have Andy Cirioli and super intern Daria Logan from UConn Graduate School of Public Policy. So we're very excited about this. We think it's just so timely. It's named perfectly. It's a toolkit, and it's getting towns ready for the inevitable. It's happening now, and it's going to happen more so in the future. And we've got some towns already that are already talking to Daphne about electrifying their fleets. Their school bus, the idea of electrifying school buses is tremendous. And you have to be ready for your residents who are going to be more and more using electric vehicles and need the charging infrastructure. And the towns are getting ready for all of this. So I don't know what we do, representing the 15 towns that I do in the New Haven area, what municipalities would do if we didn't have Daphne and her team setting this all up for us, so we'd be ready. I also noticed Allison DeMail over there, an old friend from Hamden, who has always been involved in anything that involved energy and the environment. So I'm very excited about this. I'm honored to have the opportunity to help launch this today, the new expanded version and deeper dive that you're going to be doing into EV readiness. And I just thank you so much, Daphne and your team, for putting this on for us, because the towns really need it. And they are going to be, they're getting a lot out of it, and they're going to be getting more and more in the coming months to get ready, because it's inevitable. So thank you, Daphne and your team.
Well, thank you, Carl. You're amazing. And Pam, we wouldn't have this program if it wasn't for Pam. So hooray to Pam and to so many others. I mean, it's really been such a team effort. You know, Tracy Babbage Deep is part of the, how this all started, and just so many others. So it's really just been a lot of different folks coming together. So let's see. I just really want to thank everybody who showed up today. So we are very excited that we have over 40 municipalities, communities that are registered to participate today. And many of the towns that are here with us today did participate in our 12-week program. So thank you so much for coming back. The 12-week program was sort of an introduction to municipal EV readiness, and we touched on a lot of the subjects, but we only had one week for each subject. So you can't do a project with only planning for 1 week. But it was an introduction to give people a feeling of what was to come. But we got so much feedback that municipalities, communities did want more support, that we did want to develop this 9-month program. And then we started getting calls from other states and other places around the country who also wanted to have support. So we thought, well, we'll just make this a multi-state program, and we'll have a lot of people from Connecticut, but we're going to have people from Illinois and California and other states. So that brings us to there's this memorandum of understanding that most of you probably are aware of. But just in case you're not, in 2013, these states all came together and agreed that by 2050 that we would have we would live in a country with all electric vehicles, zero emission vehicles, and zero emission vehicles, I should be clear. But we have this interim goal, 2025, that these states have committed to 3.3 electric vehicles to be on the road in these states. So Connecticut's share of that happens to be 125,000. Other states, it's on population, but these states have made this very big commitment. There's also July 14th of 2020, these states came together on a very exciting memorandum of understanding around medium and heavy duty buses and trucks. And so by 2030, 30% of new medium and heavy duty buses and trucks need to be electric. So for example, in Connecticut with school buses, there's it's about 8,100 or so school buses in Connecticut. So by 2030, we need like 2,432 electric school buses. We have 2, but we need a lot more. So it's great to have these these memorandums of understanding where you have multiple states, kind of all going for it. And this really sends a very strong message to the automobile industry, and that there's support for this. And I'm sure, everybody who's seen the news, there's so many commitments from the OEMs on electrification, and where's that going. So we can see where this is going, and we're just living in such extraordinary times. It's so exciting. So again, here's where we are with Connecticut. Every state has their own, but we have a ways to go to meet these the ZEV agreement of 2013, and a very, very long ways to go when it comes to the medium and heavy duty trucks. All right, so the program. So the 2021 Municipal EV Readiness Toolkit 9-month program. So we're starting here in February. We had an info session last week, and it's going to run through November. So we're going to have, we're very excited about our March modules. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We have the promise of the program, our shared commitments. We want people to not feel that they have to do every module. We understand that there's, every town, every community, has different resources, time, so the expectation is that whatever municipalities, communities come to the program, they come to it in a way that's going to work for them. You will have to commit to at least one module, but committing to one module is fantastic. So we don't want people to feel overwhelmed that it's going to be too much for them. We also are going to send out to you, we have a report from our 12-week program that might be interesting to you. So we'll make sure you all get a copy of that. And then we're going to go over the application and enrollment process. So in March, March is an exciting month. So we are going to have a module on every Tuesday and Thursday of March. And each one of these sessions, these are going to be open because this March is kind of our enrollment period. So what we're going to be doing is having really champions in each one of these areas, 1 or 2 champions come and talk about what they've actually done in their particular areas, so that everybody can see examples of this happening in real life. So in the world we live in, it's not really like information. We're not lacking in information. There's a lot of information everywhere, but what we need help on is implementation. How are we going to get these? How are we going to get these done? What's lacking sometimes is support, and how do we actually do these in our own town? So what these modules are going to show you are these champions that are actually doing these things. Real life people like you and me who are actually doing these things, and so we can see it modeled. So you'll be invited to attend all of these. And attend the ones that are interesting and you feel have the most momentum for you and your municipality. So, as towns and municipalities enroll in our program, they are going to have a goal that they're going to focus on, something tangible, something metric driven, that they can put together a plan and over the course of 9 months with support, have an actual project that is completed. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. And we just are running through these to give you, a few ideas on different things you can do. Again, every town's going to be different. Multi-unit dwellings is in particular kind of a hot topic for most states. Most states are really trying to figure this one out. It's a huge opportunity. It's complicated. It takes a lot of partnerships and a lot of sort of planning and thoughtfulness and cooperation. It's a really great project to tackle. Another one that's really at the top of the list here is public and destination charging. So this is going to help, projects around public and destination charging are really going to help with EV adoption. They're going to help us reach that, especially like in places like Connecticut and other states that signed up for that MOU. It's really going to help us reach our goal there, because I think there's still a little range anxiety with a lot of folks unless you have a Tesla. And the more charging infrastructure we have up and around, the more signage that we have, it's really going to help. So I'm going to turn it over for a moment here to Kelsey McCormick. She's got some really exciting news, something that that our coalition has worked on, our Clean Cities Coalition has worked on, that really helps to support public and destination charging. So Kelsey, I'm going to turn it over to you for a few moments and you can share our exciting news.
Yes, so we're really excited to announce that yesterday with Connecticut DOT, we submitted an alternative fuel corridor application to Federal Highway Administration for Connecticut's US 7. So the alternative fuel corridor program is run through the Federal Highway Administration, and it's aimed at expanding alternative fuel infrastructure throughout the country. So different interstates and US highways can be nominated for these corridors if they have a certain number of alternative fuel stations. So we were really excited to nominate US 7. It's through, it's a main passageway through the western part of the state. It connects to existing electric vehicle corridors, and it already has a few electric vehicle chargers along the corridor. So we're really excited to submit that nomination, and we should be hearing back in April or May on if it will be designated or not.
Yes, it was, and it was really done in partnership, right, Kelsey? We had some letters of support from Connecticut Deep. We had a letter of support from Will Haskell's office. He's awesome. Also, I believe Brookfield.
Yeah, we had Brookfield and Ridgefield. The mayor's office and the Economic Development Commission submitted letters of support, which was really exciting.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. So thank you, Kelsey, so much for all your work on that, and thank you for sharing that update. Um, all right, parking and enforcement. This is one that I just find it's like one of my favorite ones, I guess, mainly because I love what Fairfield did. So Fairfield, Connecticut has, I believe, in the state of Connecticut has the most charging stations for any town. So we have a lot. I think we have over 20. And when we did our municipal EV readiness study in Fairfield back in 2019, part of doing our Fairfield municipal EV readiness study, we did a lot of interviews, and we went out and we talked with a lot of the municipal decision makers, and we talked to then Police Chief Liddy. He's since retired, but he was police chief when we were doing the study. And we asked him, we said, Chief Liddy, how could the police department support EV readiness? And he said, well, we have these charging stations. We potentially could provide enforcement. So if there's a vehicle in there that's not an electric vehicle and it's parked in one of these charging stations, we could issue them a ticket. So he was just very matter of fact about it. And it was what I really was inspired by was that it just didn't seem like a big deal for him to do it. It just seemed like a next step. So he talked with the parking commission and again, with them, they were like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it passed unanimously. And now, in Fairfield, if somebody has an ICE vehicle and they park in a charging a spot that's dedicated for electric vehicles, they will be issued a ticket. And I just thought that was that was great. It was great that he did that, and it actually was it was very easy. It's not going to be easy for all towns to do that particular project, but in Fairfield it was, and it was just a great example of him reaching out to the parking commission and then just moving forward with that. So first responders, that is a more challenging module, but it's still something to look at. There's also a lot of no idling that can be done in this, some projects around that. So it doesn't have to necessarily be electrification. It can be, steps, moving towards education, like no idling and things like that. And then shuttles, there's so much opportunity with shuttles. So those are just some ideas of, to start having you think about what kinds of projects you think you might really want to be working on. So the promise of the program. So really the promise of the program is that you will learn the steps to complete EV readiness projects. Now, a lot of municipalities are already doing EV readiness projects, so they're kind of already starting, and that's fantastic. But who doesn't still need a little bit of help? So even if you're already on the way, you've already done some work. I know Middletown's done a lot of great stuff. Hartford. This program is still going to help towns that are already on the way go that much further, that much faster. And for towns that are kind of struggling, that don't quite know how to do it, this is really going to be helpful. One of the key things that has been identified in making these works is you really got to identify and meet with team members in your own municipality. So it always starts with one, right? So you need at least one person, and then for them to partner with somebody else. So you need at least two people. And the way this program works, you're going to need one person that's a municipal decision maker, somebody who is employed by the town, who makes decisions, who has decision-making authority on these kinds of things. And you need a community member, because you got to have a community member who's driving this as well, pun intended. And so it really takes a team, and then it's not just two people who can do this. You really then need to start reaching out to, the commissions and the task forces and all of that kind of thing. So it's really a team effort. We have a lot of tools and resources. So our organization, Live Green Network, inside of our organization, we have a program, which is the Connecticut Southwestern Area Clean Cities Coalition program. And through that program, we have access to national labs, we've got subject matter experts, we've got scientists, and a host of experts that can help us with tools and resources to help support you. So it's not just our organization and the team that you see on the call today, but we're backed by huge amounts of experts and resources that we can share with you that will really help you. We want to help guide you through a process to identify project milestones and goals. We want to support you in creating a project plan to ensure that it's realistic. I mean, sometimes these projects are pretty complicated. You can start doing something and you get into it and you realize, that there's actually five. You thought it was once, you had a 5-step plan and you realize that each step has 5 steps. And so we want to help support you through that and make sure that the plans that you're putting together are not overwhelming and that you have support to finish them. It's also really powerful to have to do these projects inside of a cohort like this, so that you don't feel like you're going it alone, so that you can bounce ideas off of other municipalities and that we can work together and that we feel like we're doing this all together, and that it's not just Connecticut or it's not just California, but especially if we're having input from a multitude of states. We can, cold weather states, warm weather states. It's really gonna help us all if we can do this together in this cohort, and then sharing these results with the community. And then it's always fun to recognize the great work that gets done and to have recognition and awards. So they would be part of that. So as you're starting to see, this is not a webinar series. This is not your typical. This is not just a typical kind of program. This is really a cohort that we're creating, and we talked a lot about this in the 12-week program. And I will say that this program is not going to be for everybody. And there might be those of you who are on this session right now who are thinking, well, this sounds like a little bit maybe too much work, or I'm not sure about this. And that's totally fine. It's not going to be for everybody. It's going to be for those of us who want to work on this all together, collectively, and really be in this together. So we have these shared commitments that if you participate in the program, that you agree to. So whether you work on one module or you work on 9, we ask you to fully commit to this program. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, or it can take a lot of time. It's really up to you. But for whatever you jump in as, that you stay committed for the full 9 months. That you whatever action, and we know things come up, and we know, gosh, the last year, we all know that things come up, right? But your best intention is that you're going to complete your action plans, that when you do these tasks and these milestones, that you really you take this on as a serious commitment. We also, when we do our sessions, there's always so many great ideas and thoughts and creativity that comes up with us. But when we do our sessions, we only have an hour to do the trainings and all of that. And so we just ask respectfully, when we do our training sessions, not in March, that's a little bit different, but once we get into the training sessions and we're offering these different resources, that the comments that you really stay focused on what you're doing, and stay really centered on your own projects, and that your comments during the sessions stay centered on what you're doing and all of your great ideas. There's a lot of places that you can funnel those. One place is in the chat, and the other place is that we have a private Facebook group just for our participants, and you can share all your ideas in there. We also ask you to commit to engaging with other participants during the module sessions to share your progress and your challenges. So we all learn from challenges, right? So, when we're in life, during this experience we call life, what do you learn more from? Do you learn more from when things went perfect and everything went really well? You might learn some things from that, but I think most of us really learn from when we have challenges, when we stumble, when we fall. That's when we really learn. Oh, I should have really done this, or I really should have done that. And sharing those challenges is very powerful. It's also a little vulnerable to share when things aren't going quite right. But it's important, and that's why we really want to create this community of trust and safety, so that when we're sharing any challenges that we're having with our projects, that we're not going to feel judged or criticized, but we're just going to, we're going to see it as growth and learning, and we're going to look at it as a good thing when we have challenges, because that means things are happening. So we're going to support each other, and we really want to get in on these funding opportunities. So we always want to be planning projects, even if there's not money available currently. We want to be planning these projects because money will be coming. And the worst thing to have happen is to have all of a sudden a grant become available and you're not ready, or you miss a deadline. So we always want to be planning and being ready with our projects, because that way when the opportunities do come up, then we will be ready. And then lastly, we just agree that this is there's no solicitation in this program of products or services. It's all really we're all just really focused on doing our projects. So those are our shared commitments. So a few more things. So some of the things that we have learned from the 12-week program that we've have discovered are the most helpful and useful to all of us going through this is people are looking for electric school bus resources. By the way, we have a really terrific session next Wednesday at 10 o'clock where we're going to have every major electric school bus OEM talk about their electric school buses. So we'll send you a link to that, but that's going to be really, really powerful and fantastic. But things about regulations, about total cost of ownership, case studies, things like this. So these are things that we have, the feedback we've gotten from our surveys and from our past cohort, things that we will provide to you that you will find the most helpful. All right, so these are the major components of the program. So you're going to create your team. That's, like I said, that's really where it all starts. You're going to create your team in your town. You're going to have your municipal representative and your community leader and others, but that's where it starts. And then we're going to be building this cohort together. So we have our individual teams, and then we're going to be building our cohort. We're going to have then our virtual meetings and coaching calls. We have course materials, and then we love our champions. We have our champions that are, these are people who have completed projects, and they're going to, be coming to our calls in March. And then there are also going to be resources all throughout the 9 months. So in April, so March, we have our champions and our interviews with our champions all through March, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then applications are due April 1st. So to participate in this program, you'll need to submit a very simple but important application. And then in April, those who participate, that's the time to really build your team. Make sure you have everybody. You'll have full access to the program materials and resources, to the private Facebook group. We'll have a portal for the course materials, and we'll have the handouts. And then what we're doing in April is every municipality who participates, you'll have a 1-hour session with us to share and talk about your project and or projects. So that is April. So March, we have our modules. April, we have our individual meetings with the communities that are participating. May through July, we're going to have weekly training sessions, and there'll be more on that to come. Then in August, we're going to do our individual meetings again. And then September and October, there'll be some more training and a wrap up. And then November, we are planning on having a really fantastic session where we share our projects, so everybody can share what they did. So this is the enrollment process. It's very simple, and I think Kelsey is going to into chat. She's just going to put the application, and I think she's also, if she already hasn't done so. She was also going to put in those shared commitments. But really the most important thing about enrolling is that you have a representative from your community and your municipality, that you start with that team. And that is, that's the most important thing about that. And so that is, we invite you to join us. So that is an overview of our program, the different components and the different aspects of that. I hope it didn't scare anybody with all those commitments and all of that. I hope you're all inspired. I hope you're all excited to be in our cohort and do this together. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen in November and the different projects we're all going to get to share. And I'll just say, when we did the 12-week program, there was a lot of participation from so many municipalities. But there was one municipality that really went all out, and that municipality was Hamden. And our organization had completed, or actually worked with Hamden to do a municipal EV readiness study. So we did this study with them, and we worked a lot with Kathleen Shoemaker, and we did the study, and we'll send that out to you so you can see the results of that study. So it was supported by United Illuminating. They wanted to have a study done in Hamden. And so we worked with, like I said, with Kathleen to do that. And she really took it on. And that and a lot of other wonderful things happened, and including working with Pam Roach, and a series of events happened where we put together this 12-week program, and which was completed at the end of last year. And Hamden I think they had 20, I think they had about 20 people participate in the 12-week program from Hamden, and they just found a lot of value from it. So Kathleen was originally scheduled to be with us today because she had sort of spearheaded everything to talk about how that program helped them, and then how they're really looking at this 9-month program as a really great opportunity to have structure to do more. And we are so lucky that we have Larry Rosenthal with us today. So I'm going to bring him to the stage. And Larry, do you want to talk a little bit about the 12-week, and then how you're looking forward to the 9-month program and the great work that Hamden has done?
Sure. Do we have another hour to talk about this? Thank you, Daphne. I serve on the Hamden Energy Use and Climate Change Commission. I'm a PE by profession, but please don't hold that against me. We are absolutely thrilled and almost overwhelmed on the 9 modules, or 12 modules, now reduced to, I think, 10, that we're working on. And they all tie in a very connective way. I could almost refer to it as connective tissue to our energy programs that we are working on in depth for the year 2021. And that includes completing our municipal energy plan for town-wide, which is a very important component that's going to tell the town how we're going to spend all their money on energy reduction. And transportation figures very prominently in how we intend to do that. We're also preparing a microgrid plan, and Hamden intends to put in its first microgrid hopefully this year. I am cautiously thinking that it may go into 2022 because it's a very involved program. It's going to utilize all of the green energy technology, from fuel cells to solar to wind power to geothermal and anything else we can get our hands on, which very much includes EV readiness program for all the cars that are now coming on the road, and for new stations that we intend to put in to support them. We now have 3 stations in place One is being completed now by Tesla, and they are putting in a large 12-unit level 2, level 3 charging station in the center of town. We have another one with 3 units located at the Hampden Police Department headquarters, and a third unit for level 2, level 3 vehicles going in on Skiff Street and State Street with an ExxonMobil station. So we're excited that we could begin to show some serious traction for electric vehicles. And concurrent with that, the bulk of my time has been spent putting our team infrastructure together. So as chair of the Energy Use and Climate Change Commission, I have 9 commissioners, each working on a module at this point in time. And they're coming back to me with their insight on references, on reviews they have read, and will report back to us on additional information we should have for each one of these modules. I've gotten Mark Atkins from engineering, and he's now also heading up planning and zoning to assist us in developing new siting locations. And that is critically important. We have quite a number of major thoroughfares from Route 15, which is Merritt Wilbercross Parkway, and Interstate 91, but we also have Route 34, Route 9, and several other routes that interchange with Hampden. And we want to be able to provide charging services in specific areas that tend to see high traffic, okay, and have a high population surrounding it that utilize stores, apartments, condominiums. I can go on and on with the list, but we really have a very important need for charging stations. For those of you that do not know Hampden, we're a population of about 61,000 people in a rather confined area, and we're trying to make best use of the charging stations and getting more and more automobile manufacturers to really push their electric vehicles throughout the year in our town. We also have a big event comes every September where we exhibit electric cars at our town library, and we invite the town's population to come in, test drive these cars, and have owners of these cars explain how they have benefited them and what it has meant to them in terms of reducing energy costs and saving them money annually. Our big thing is really simple. We want to become carbon neutral by 2035. Whether or not that we're going to achieve that, yes, we're going to achieve it. That's the optimism in me, and we're going to try very hard to do that. And the EV Readiness Toolkits for the 10 modules we're working on, we see as not only inspirational for us, but it's the means to achieving our goal with respect to transportation. And that's all I have to say on that. There we go.
That was amazing. And you know, hooray for Hampden. I mean, look at what you're doing. I mean, really, it's just exceptional. You know, what you're talking about, this commission and how you've got these commissioners working on the modules, it makes me think of one town that shall remain nameless, but I do different presentations to different commissions and boards around the state. And yep. I still, sometimes when I do presentations to economic and community development commissions, I still hear commissioners say, you know, things like, really, those EVs they're really coming. I think that's something in the future. And they actually are wanting me to show them reports or research that shows that the that the electric vehicles are coming. Like they're still not believing it's coming, and they're not interested in doing any of this kind of work. And it's because they just don't see it. They just don't see it. And so, part of me, when you're talking about that, I'm thinking, is there a way that we could have you talk with some of these other commissions and just and let them know that this really is what's happening, and they're going to get left behind if they don't start doing things like what you're doing.
Well, if you talk to one of our former mayors, Mr. Carl Mento, and who's just on, and I see him on the screen, I think he'll share this sentiment with you. This is a nonstop process. We can't tell commissioners or people of residences in various towns just once on what this is all about. It's a nonstop process. It's show and tell, and it's showing by exhibiting. So whenever we have an opportunity to install another charging station, whenever our car dealers have sold another electric car, wow, we want to talk about it, okay? And that's the word that's going to strike home the hardest. That's what I feel.
Yeah, and
So
I
do you
think
agree?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think, one of the benefits of this program, especially, at the end of the 9 months when we have these projects that have been completed, we're going to be able to share this. And I think that that's going to be really powerful. There was a question that came into chat. How many people, municipalities, is reasonable, optimal for the 9-month program? So, it really just starts with one person, and then that one person getting a team member, and then those two people committing to trying to do something, and then working with us, and then we can help you support your outreach efforts to get more. But it really just starts with one person. So if you're on this call today and you're like, well, I'm the only person in my town who wants to do this, and maybe you work for the town and you need, you want more support from volunteers, we can help you with that. But it really just starts with one person, and then it goes from there. So Hampton is going for it, and they're doing all the modules, but you don't have to do all the modules. You can just pick one. It's great if you can do all of them, because then that's, ideally what we need is towns to have like a EV readiness plan that addresses all of these, but not everybody can do it all at once. And so wherever you can jump in, wherever you can start, that's the best place to be.
That's for sure.
So I'm just wondering, so I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions, if you want to raise your hand, down in reactions there at the bottom of your screen, you can pick raise hand, or you can just wave at us. And if you have any questions, you're all still here, so you must have some interest in all of this. So is there anybody who would like to share that they're excited about this program, that they would like to join, they would like to commit now to EV readiness in their municipality? I'm a very patient woman, so so I'm sure somebody would like to share a comment about
It looks
what they
like
would
Spike
like
has his hand raised also.
I'm sorry?
It looks like Spike has his hand raised.
Okay, Spike.
Yes, hi. I'm from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, and we didn't sign on to the first MOU. So I only saw, maybe I missed it, but I only saw 8 of the modules or 8 things that were being presented in March. So my question is there a module that revolves around heavy duty buses or medium duty buses that I could turn into a project?
That's an excellent question. There actually, we actually don't have a module specifically on that, but that's a great suggestion, and that's something that we could still add. So this is It's a flexible program, and we originally had 12 modules, and we took out school buses because we actually do a whole school bus series. That's a whole nother track. And so we took it out because it's such a big topic. But if that's something that you're interested in doing, and I think it's a great idea. So we don't have all the answers, nobody does, but that's great. And so if you're interested in joining the program, we could definitely include that, because that's an excellent idea.
All right, I also, just to follow up with that, if, say that didn't work, I know some towns have gotten EV refuge trucks. So would it be possible, say the school bus option wouldn't work, would it be possible to focus on the EV refuge truck or something like that?
That is a amazing topic. Yeah, it would, and so that's a great idea. So we can talk about that, and we would love to potentially incorporate that into the program. It's a big topic. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I like your vision for that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see, there's a question in chat. We get the module descriptions to download. It would be helpful. So when you sign into the program, when you're a program participant, yes, just like we did in the 12-week program, the program participants received a whole lot of resources and information and reading materials, and we sent that out to them weekly, and they had PowerPoint. They had more information. Again, there's not a lack of information. We provided them with everything, and we gave them, they could download everything that we shared on the programs. So yes, as a program participant, you have access to everything. We share everything. So that is that. Does anybody else have a question about the program? Is anybody, does anybody have a team? Is there anybody who, besides Hamden? I know Hamden is ready, but is there anybody else on the call today who thinks they might have? Looks like, is that Diane? Hi, Diane. Let's see. Let me give you ask to unmute. Okay.
Hi, Daphne. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. I can't hear. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, now I can hear you. I'm sorry. I'm juggling here. This is a fantastic, well-planned, organized. I wanted to know if you could speak to the issue of, at times, for instance, school districts have, they work with contractors, so there's contracts, and they're usually multi-year. Sometimes they can cancel a contract or modify it. But I wondered if you, as far as planning in the future and offline, I'd love to see if we could work that out for my town in Connecticut. But if there's a contract that won't be up for several years, how does this module system help in preparing for becoming a much more energy efficient school district, as an example?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have an electric school bus presentation that we can send you, that you can share with your school boards and the decision makers. So yes, in Connecticut, I would say 95% of the school districts use schools bus providers. They contract out with the provider. There's, like 95% of them do that. So there's I think 12, 13 service providers. There's 5 or 6 that have most of the business. There's 3 or 4 that have really almost all of the business. Those contracts are anywhere from 1 year to 5 years. And there's a state statute that actually limits the length of those contracts to 5 years. You cannot, by state statute, a school district cannot enter into an agreement with a school bus provider for more than 5 years. That is problematic for some school districts that want to go electric, because the upfront costs are so high that the service providers really want a 10-year contract. to make sure that they're going to be able to get that return. So there is some, we actually had a school bus boot camp that was started in February. It was ran for 4 weeks, and we actually had a session on that state statute and what it would take to get that changed. It's a legislative act, so there really wasn't time this year to get on top of that and get that through. But that's really something that would benefit a lot of school districts, is to have that state statute changed so that it would allow for a contract to be 10 years to help. Now, some school districts, a couple of school districts have gotten electric school buses, and they've made that 5-year state statute work. But for the most part, we're probably going to need to see that 10-year. As far as what to do to kind of if you're stuck in a place where you're in a contract, and maybe it's for a fuel that's not electric, and you want to start that process of change. So it's the best time to start is right now. So it's just an educational process. So we won't name names, but I believe the town that you're in, I believe they just signed a contract for most of the school bus fleet to be propane. So those buses are gonna be there for a while. I'm not sure if it's 100% of the fleet. I think there might be a few buses left that potentially could be electric. And I will say that in the town that you're in, the service provider that services that town is really very interested in electric. So in some ways it's good news, because you have a school bus provider that's currently in your town that is very supportive of electric school buses. So I would love to talk offline. So we're getting to the top of the hour. If there's any last comment or quick question, if you have one last thing you want to say before we end our session today. But if not, we are going to invite you all to join us for our March modules. We're so excited about those, and looks like we might be adding something for heavy duty, medium and heavy duty, so stay tuned for that. But please join us for one or all of our upcoming modules. And again, March is really going to be our month where we're reaching out and looking to bring in as many municipalities and communities to be a part of our Toolkit program. And we will be sending you the application and any other information that we think might help you. You know how to reach us. So if you have any questions, please contact us directly with your questions. And thank you so much for your time today. And we really appreciate you being here. And we hope to see you next week at our module 1, which is community members. That's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, as I said, we have a really great, it's not part of this program, it's part of a multi-state electric school bus program, but we have the OEMs talking about electric school buses. And then on Thursday, a week from today, we have a fantastic session on municipal fleets, and we have just a phenomenal champion from a state I'm not going to mention yet, but it's going to be a great module, and we hope to see you there. Thank you all so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.